Hello, I'm Krista Kramer with the Idaho Assistive Technology Project. Welcome to our Communication Access series. This video is going to focus on assistive technology for low vision and blindness. Many of the communication barriers for people living with blindness or low vision are related to written communication and accessing information about the world around us. Assistive technology has created great opportunities for independence in interacting with the written word and for navigating the wider world. These accommodations or modifications make the world much more accessible, and it's technology that makes them readily available. Things like magnification, bold fonts, high contrast documents, alternate formats such as large print or braille or audio versions. Text-to-speech and optical character recognition and spoken content make everything on the internet accessible, as long as it's been built that way. Signature guides are a basic little tool. I'll show you a picture in a minute. Audio description gives people who can't see your television screen information about all of those things that are happening when the weird and scary music's going on. And assistive technology also is making more and more information about the visual environment available through a smart device. Artificial intelligence, here we come. Most assistive technology categories have solutions that range from low tech, like a handheld magnifier, to high tech, like this large screen computer with split screen magnification. And the costs range from $13 for this lighted magnifier to multiple thousands of dollars. Sometimes the tool to get the job done is as simple as a little plastic guide with a cutout that you can put over that line where somebody's supposed to sign their name so that the signature doesn't go off through the written document. 25 cents worth. I like to focus on the options that are already in the smart devices that are already in most of our households. Pardon my Apple dialect as I talk about the tablets and smartphones. Most of the features are also available on Android and other platforms with other names. Please translate as needed. I consider smart devices to be the Swiss Army knife of assistive technology. There's so many accessibility features built into the settings these days. Your smartphone contains a magnifier, the ability to zoom in on what's on your screen, text-to-speech and screen reading, speech-to-text. Just talk to your phone, tell it what you want it to do. You can even do Braille input on the screen of a smartphone. There are also some really cool new scanning tools. You point your camera at a QR code, and you can go directly from that code and open up the website that it relates to. Or you can do optical character recognition. Point your camera at text, and it starts talking to you and reading that text in the environment. Another thing that can be done with a smart device is gathering information about the environment. We'll get to that more later too. Navigation tools are incredible these days, and you can even reach out through the internet to get remote support when you've gotten turned around and lost in the middle of a field or dropped something on the floor and can't find it. Magnifiers are one of the basic tools for people with low vision. And those range from the handheld magnifier, like the one I showed you earlier, to video magnifiers, which are designed to zoom in on small objects and have clear tactile buttons to help you navigate the device. The picture in the lower right is a desktop digital camera, and the woman has her knitting underneath that camera, and it's being displayed on a big screen monitor. If you haven't discovered it yet, the top picture is just using the camera on a smartphone and taking a picture and then doing a touch and spread your thumb and forefinger apart to zoom in almost as much as you want. Even with my 2400 vision in one eye, it can make things almost big enough for me to read. Another of my favorite new tools is the zoom features on the camera. You can actually turn on the zoom controller, which creates a little dot, this little dot, which then kind of lives on your screen. And anytime you want to zoom in on something, I put my thumb on that dot, and then I move my thumb around like a joystick, and it magnifies what's on the screen. It zooms in so that everything goes up to a size that I have preset. But the zoom controller also gives you this menu. If you just tap on it, the controller will come up and give you the ability to select the region that you're zooming in on, change filters. You can reverse the colors so that you're seeing white print on a black background instead of vice versa. And you can change the zoom settings there. I find that as I'm reading Facebook in the morning, all those pictures that have information that's too small for me to see, I use that zoom controller to pop it up to 2 or 3 times the size, so I can actually see what's going on. Screen readers and speech output are another of the great features built into your operating system. Go to the settings, and under the vision settings, you can turn on spoken content, which again, it has a controller option. If you turn on the spoken content controller, it creates another little dot that lives on your screen, and you can move it around out of your way if need be. But if you tap it, it opens up a controller that allows you to press play, and it will start reading from the point that you select. This little finger over here on the edge allows you to select that option and then touch anywhere on the screen, press play. It will start reading from there. You can also change the speed that it's reading. So if you need things to be slower for you to understand something, some new information, you can slow it down. And if you've gotten really good at processing auditory information, you can speed it up to get through listening to things faster. Screen reading also gives you the option of going out into the internet, checking audiobooks or electronic books out of your library, and have the books read to you from your smart device. VoiceOver and TalkBack are the next level of spoken interface with a smart device. These tools are what make a smart device completely accessible to someone who can't see the screen at all. Anything you touch will be spoken aloud to you. And then you have to double tap or do some other gesture to actually make those things happen. So, for instance, if you wanted to dial a phone number in your phone app on the keypad, you can set it up so that you can move your finger around until you find the right number. And then when you let go, it will input that number for you so that you don't have to otherwise miss the phone numbers you might be trying to dial. It gives you that audio feedback of each thing that you touch. And then you can either, if you've set the touch typing settings, when you let go, it will enter that number or character. Or you can also just use voice commands to make phone calls. There's some brand new scanning tools. On the left-hand side is the one with the B in the middle. Those black and white dots in a grid are a code that will lead you to a specific website. Put your camera at it, get the little corner pieces around the picture and touch it, and it will open that website for you. And then there's a new text option called Show Detected Text, which allows you to use the camera. And again, it will put little brackets around text that it sees on, a document or a label or whatever you might be pointing the camera at. And then you can tell the device to select that text, and then you can copy and paste it somewhere else, or you can have it spoken aloud to you. There are another set of apps that are further advanced than that. Apps that will scan and read short text, or you can go into a document mode and take a picture of a whole page of a document and have that read aloud to you. They'll also scan barcodes. For instance, if you take a can out of the cupboard and you don't know whether it's a can of green beans or mushroom soup, hold your camera up, turn the can around until the camera sees the barcode, It will give you an audio signal. You hold it still, and then the app will do the scan, go out to the internet, find out what that barcode is for, and come back, and it'll tell you Campbell's soup, 14 ounces. As artificial intelligence is rapidly expanding its capability, these apps like Envision AI and Seeing AI and Lookout all have the ability to scan the world around you and tell you what's out there. There are also higher tech versions of that capability. Couple of devices, one called Orcam and one called Envision glasses, where that camera becomes part of a wearable object, either your glasses or a camera that clips on them. And you can take pictures, you can scan the environment, and it will read to you or tell you the scene recognition, the facial recognition of what it is perceiving and able to tell you about it all. I had a friend who, the first time I was playing with the Seeing AI app, pointed the camera at him, and he was someone who uses a power wheelchair, point the camera at him and in the scene recognition mode, and it says, "Picture may contain someone sitting on a motorcycle." So at that point in time, it was still a little dicey, but close. And as artificial intelligence increases its capability, so do these apps. Navigation apps are also opening up the world to people with visual impairment. There are a number of navigation apps, such as Blind Square and even Google Maps, that have detailed information about walking directions. And because the app knows where you are on its map, it can give you directions turn by turn. Some of them even will tell you what businesses you're going past and what the special of the day is. Another of the navigation apps that's really interesting, it started as a project called Soundscape and is now a free app available through Microsoft. And it gives directions not by telling you street coordinates, but by giving you auditory feedback about where you are in relationship to your goal. I was first introduced to this app by a friend of mine who's blind and loved to go boating and kayaking. And he would use the app when he put his boat in the water and put down an auditory marker on his phone. And then he'd paddle wherever he wanted to go. And when it came time to find his way back to the dock, he would turn on then Soundscape, and it would give him, with headphones, would give him an auditory signal to tell him whether he was going too far to the left or too far to the right, and it would give a specific, so he could hear when he was on target to get back to where he had set the original marker. Assistive technologies like the Sunu band, which is a vibrating wristband that could be used by someone using a cane. And it gives tactile feedback about whether something has entered the space above where a white cane might sense an obstacle. There are also haptic insoles for your shoes that can tell you when it's time to turn left or turn right. With the new Pro cameras, iPhone Pro model LiDAR camera, there's also a new feature called door detection. For a lot of people who are blind and trying to navigate, often the navigation apps would get them to the building, but it was still difficult to find the door. And this new technology will allow you, again, to use your camera in door detection mode, and you swing your camera around until it says double door detected 12 feet ahead. And another new sensor technology that's really cool is the Lucy wheelchair sensor system. There are a number of blind folks who end up using wheelchairs, and it's really hard to use a cane and a wheelchair or a cane and a walker at the same time. And the Lucy sensors are designed to attach to a wheelchair in a way that gives you information about drop-offs or walls or people. It will prevent you from running into things. And again, each of these options are making very rapid progress in terms of ability to help people safely navigate. Another of the tools available through a smart device are remote supports. There are apps like Aira and Be My Eyes that connect someone to a guide on the internet, someone who will look through what their camera is seeing and give spoken support and directions about what they can see. And now there is a new version called Be My AI, which rather than having a person telling you what is in front of the camera, it will use artificial intelligence to do that scene recognition and guidance. There are also some features on devices like the Amazon Echo Show, where you can put an object in front of that camera and ask Alexa, what am I holding? What's in this jar? There are also a variety of remote caregiving services that are becoming available to folks who need additional support. And that might come in the shape of a tablet that that the individual can reach a remote caregiver whenever they've got a question or are worried about something. There are also a number of specialized telephones for blindness and low vision. While the smartphones, such as an iPhone or an Android phone, with the accessibility features, can be completely accessible, there are a lot of folks who, for whatever reason, prefer tactile buttons. And there are several phones on the market, like the MiniVision 2 Plus, which is your basic talk and text phone, but it also has some built-in low vision and blindness features. The BlindShell Classic 2 is a full-featured Android phone with tactile buttons and a navigation system that's set up linearly so that it makes sense rather than trying to figure out where things are in space on a touch screen. And it also has complete talking feedback. So anything on the screen will be spoken aloud if you want it to be. It's also got large text and also a variety of blind-friendly apps, such as the Bard access to accessible reading materials, and Uber for calling for rides, and a variety of other apps. The RealSound Pocket is a smartphone that's designed to be completely used with voice commands. Haven't had a chance to play with it much, but it really is designed to be a talk to it kind of phone. And for people who are deaf-blind, you can actually use a captioned phone with a Braille display and both send your messages in Braille and read what the person on the other end of the call is saying in Braille. There's also some new television accessibility features that are pretty cool. Audio description is becoming available on more and more television programming. An audio description to tell you what's going on when nobody's talking. There are also a variety of devices like the Amazon Fire and Apple TV and Roku and other streaming devices that allow you to interact with them completely by voice. Tell it what you want to watch, and if it's available, it'll come up. There's also Dialogue Boost for audio settings so that you can hear the dialogue louder than that background noise. There are also large format remotes available for television so that you can have a better chance of either putting bump dots on the right buttons or being able to see the controls, as complicated as they've gotten these days. Keyboards can be quite a challenge for someone who's visually impaired. And so I wanted to mention some of the alternatives to using a keyboard and mouse to access a computing device. First off is voice. Turning on voice output, narrator or voiceover is one possibility. Controlling and doing dictation or speech to text is another way to do all of your writing and editing, even by voice commands. You can actually use a setting called handwriting if using the on-screen keyboard is difficult because it's so tiny. You can turn on a setting and then actually with your finger on the screen, actually write the letters and enter text that way. You can connect a Braille keyboard or a Braille note taker to your smart device. And there's a new device. We just got one in the library and I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. It's called the Tap XR, that allows you not only to enter text with a combination of taps with your fingers, A, E, I, O, U, and then various combo to make the rest of the letters. It also allows you to make gestures in the air that would be understood in the same way that the gestures on a touch screen would. Another of the input mechanisms is called the Revo, which actually is an external keyboard that's it's not very big, kind of the same, the size of a pack of cards or a little smaller. And it's got tactile buttons on it, the center of which are the same as the T9 number keypad on the old flip phones, so that you could enter text in that format, for first press is A, second press is B, third press is C, that kind of thing, which actually can be easier than navigating your way through somewhere between 80 and 120 keys on a standard keyboard. And they're all laid out differently. You can also do Morse code as an input method into a smart device. And for someone who is visually impaired and also has a mobility issue that they can't move their hands or access a keyboard with their hands, there are options for auditory scanning that would step by step go through a list, and when you hear the option you want, you can move your head or whatever part of your body works to hit a switch to make your letter selections or selections of symbols or concepts in a communication app. And one more tool I wanted to mention is a computer download. This is for Apple or PC computers. And it's a program that actually makes an accessibility menu bar available on screen. So it allows you to change text size, to turn on and off the magnifier, to copy a selection from your screen. There's a button there to press to read a selected text. And there are controls for contrast and color and inverting dark background or light background. And there's also a night mode that becomes easily accessible on this menu. And it just hangs out there. You can move it if you need to see what's underneath it. But it makes those accessibility settings really easy to find. And it's also a program that could be put on a USB thumb drive, or you can create an account and log into it from any computer that isn't completely locked down, allowing you to access those accessibility features on a computer at the library. Morphic also allows you to make custom buttons, sort of like shortcut buttons that can take you directly to a program or a folder or making a call to a specific person. So you can customize these buttons, or you can allow a caregiver to customize these buttons for your particular computing needs to make that access easier and more accessible. So that has been a whirlwind tour of some of the accessibility communication tools for people who are blind or have low vision. If you'd like more information, this QR code will take you to a Padlet, which is a resource list of links to information about most of the products that I've already mentioned. Or you can give us a call at the Idaho Assistive Technology Project, 1-800-432-8324. Thanks.